And you've probably been in this situation before. You're in a group setting and you're asking, all right, where does everybody want to eat? And a recommendation is thrown out there, and inevitably someone is going to pull out their phone and go, hold on, got to Yelp it.
Says.
Yelp has been the reason that my planning for restaurants has been extended from 3 minutes to 30 minutes. But it's a good thing. It's so you know you're not wasting your hard-earned money, especially in days like this.
Yes.
Yelp has released its 2026 Food and Drink Report, which is detailing all the latest trends in dining, home, lifestyle, beauty, much more. We're going to learn more about the list and what we can expect for next year. Tara Lewis, Yelp VP of Consumer Expansion and Trends. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so fascinated by this. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So just tell us, first of all, where you guys get this information. How do you guys sort of figure out sort of what's hot and what's not every year?
Yeah, well, this report is, we do this annually, and is powered by millions of searches and reviews from Yelp users nationwide. And the report spotlights how we believe that people are going to live, dine, and unwind in the year ahead. We also tap into our data analysts as well as our community managers across North America to identify which keywords and search terms are trending. And that's usually a strong indicator of what's going to happen next.
So since we're talking about what people search, Tara, tell us, what are people searching in the food and drink categories? What's the most popular?
We've got so many exciting trends. Obviously, Indian cuisine is beloved worldwide, but it's getting a brighter spotlight in the year ahead. We've noticed that regional Indian cooking and flavors and concepts are rising in Yelp searches across the country. Specifically, Indian tiffin services are up 153% in searches on Yelp. If you're not familiar with that, it's a traditional home delivery service where the tiffin containers are metal and they have home-cooked dishes that are stacked, that are delivered. It's very common in India and Pakistan, but we're seeing a increase in searches for that, as well as Indian food buffets near me jumped over 400% in searches. So we're excited to see Indian cuisine get a larger spotlight in America. We're also seeing that as an emerging flavor, black sesame is popping up all over the place. Very common in Asian cuisine, but we're seeing searches for black sesame matcha was up over 147%. Black sesame desserts also. So desserts and pastries, expect to see black sesame as a flavor in the new year. Matcha is also getting another creative makeover. Obviously, matcha's been really popular for a while. It's all over social media, but we've seen the matcha teeny, which is a special little extra something in there, up over 1,000% in searches. Also, the banana pudding matcha latte.
That sounds good.
Right?
Yes.
Well, that's up 36,000% on Yelp. So that is
36,000?
36,000. So that's
wow.
The renaissance, the matcha renaissance right there. So that's pretty spectacular to see all the ways that matcha is expressing itself and mixing and matcha-ing. So that's another thing to look forward to in the new year also.
I'm sort of fascinated with sort of what's rising and what's falling. Obviously, you guys are sort of tracking the numbers and you can kind of see what are the new things people are talking about. But do you guys ever question why? Like, why is this particular food or why is this dish or this drink all of a sudden having its moment right now?
That's part of my job. I've been a Yelp trend expert for 6 years now. I've been at Yelp for 16 years now. And so part of that is also studying what's emerging and what's coming and going. Obviously, social media has a huge impact on that, but also exposure to different cultures and emerging cuisines. A lot of these items exist already somewhere in the world, but people may not have access or exposure to it. So very often there's certain dishes or foods where it's almost like the entry level of exposure happens. And then you start seeing sort of a cascade of that in years ahead. So that's something that's always great to keep an eye on. Of course, what happens in the world globally, whether it's about tariffs or demand of the X, Y, and Z, that's also something to keep an eye on. If you know that there's coffee prices are going up and that there's another alternative that's not as expensive, business owners are likely to potentially adopt that, and that might influence the surge of interest in certain items and products and menus and things like that. So whether it's lifestyle trends or whether it's what's happening in the world, there's all these different cause and effects that seem to help some of these trends evolve over time.
Now I want a matcha teeny.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to have you in studio.
Food.
You should have brought all of these things.
Stuff. I'll be honest with you.
I didn't even tell you about the Sarti Spritz. That was a special drink that's up 8,500% in searches on Yelp. It's a brightly flavored liqueur made with blood orange, mango, passion fruit. It's kind of followed a trend from when we saw the Aperol Spritz a couple summers ago really popular. The Hugo Spritz was, I think, a year or two ago, and now the Sardi Spritz is
Wow.
Wow.
emerging spritz on the horizon.
Never heard of it
No.
until today. So I'll
It's
be
hard
honest.
to get your hands on still.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't know that people go to Yelp. I mean, I know businesses are on there, but I didn't know people go on there for home design and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Until I looked at
Absolutely.
this card. So what about home and design trends? How are people going on there for this?
Well, people use Yelp for home and local services all the time, and they even use our services like Yelp Assist that help you if you don't know exactly what the project is that you need. You can actually work with Yelp Assist to identify, hey, I kind of need a bathroom remodel, and it'll help walk you through prompts and questions to help get you to the right provider that you need. But in terms of home and design trends, we're seeing the gallery walls are making a comeback. I think those have been popular, but people are looking for custom framing. Actually, we've seen searches up over 300%, and specialized framing services are up in searches. We've also seen a surge in vintage china, which people are mounting on their gallery walls now. So they're not as sterile, the gallery walls that we're seeing sort of emerging. They have a lot more personality and dimension and texture. We're also seeing statement staircases are stealing the show. When you're entering a home, if you aren't able to do a complete remodel, you can look for accent rugs that really sort of add some dimension to that. We're seeing searches for custom carpet installations up 835% on Yelp, as well as stair runner installations are up over 400% on Yelp.
Wow. That's
Listen,
a lot.
yeah, we've got a lot more we want to ask you about, so do not go anywhere. We got to pay some bills. We're going to go to break, and we'll catch up with you in just about 60 seconds. Welcome back. Chicago Now, just after 11:31.
In full effect.
In full effect. I wish you could see right off camera. We've got a really talented group of students over here that are
they're looking at us.
learning what to do and what not to do in the world of journalism. But in terms of what to do, a lot of people go to Yelp to choose. We're back with Tara Lewis, the Yelp VP of Consumer Expansion and Trends. Tara, I have a question for you. Obviously, you guys are always looking at what's rising, what's surging in searches, and what's becoming more popular. How important is it to track what's sort of diving in popularity and what people are no longer eating or drinking or using anymore?
Well, I personally don't believe that, because I think that trends often go in cycles, even if it takes 20 years for a cycle to repeat itself. So it's just sometimes those changes in data might just be moments in time. However, it's also important to remember there's so many businesses that have built an entire identity off of things that we sometimes identify as trends. And so there's still going to be people that are looking for those services, whether it's, for eyelash extensions or specific types of nail services, things like that are specialized and are needed and are vital. So we don't draw as much attention in terms of like what's the decline. Hopefully those continue to exist and thrive. But it's something that I'm always mindful of when I think about what are the trends and what's in and out, and also knowing that things are quite cyclical over time. And when you think about human behavior and what's happening in the world, sometimes you can have a better sense of what might be on the decline based on what's rising. But we really focus on the emerging trends, and sometimes that will be an indicator of also then what that might be spotlighting, shining a little more light over what was perhaps getting the spotlight in the past.
Any trends in the beauty and wellness and lifestyle department that you were like, whoa, I'm really shocked that people are interested in this?
Well, it doesn't surprise me too much because I am a trend expert, but I think it's a really interesting one that grandma hobbies are making a comeback. It's hands-on, mindful, creative movement in terms of people doing like hands-on crafting that's sort of therapeutic. Sewing fabric stores are up in searches on Yelp over 3,000%. Quilting supplies are up over 500%. Crocheting classes, tufting classes are all really popular right now. So grandma core is alive and well. We're also seeing people have a cosmic curiosity when people are turning to mystical meaning for seeking what's happening in their lives. We see that psychic mediums, searches for psychic mediums near me, searches are up 653% on Yelp, as well as astrology readings, as well as dog psychics are up in searches.
I'm sorry, what was that? Can you say that one more time?
Dog psychics, pet psychics in general. Over the past couple of years, we've seen more interest in that. So people are getting insight into what their pets are thinking, or, if I know there's a popular reality star that was recently had a psychic come and assess her cat, and the cat was translating her issue with the carrier that she has. Even though it's a designer pet carrier, the cat finds it tacky. So people are just seeking out pet psychics and dog psychics to get a better sense of how they can care for their pet and, potentially get some insight into some of their behaviors.
See, I find that shocking. But I guess if you're into this, you track the trends, you don't. But I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
I wish you could have seen both of our reactions on, like in regards to trends, like obviously everyone wants to capitalize. If you're a business owner, you want to take advantage of the new hot thing. But where's that balance between taking advantage of a moment that's happening, the cool new drink, the cool new beauty trend, whatever the case may be, but also like maybe not bet the whole bank on a thing that might just be really hot in 2026 and then it's let go?
Absolutely, and I think that if I were to give any business owner advice is, I think what makes local businesses so special is that they are authentically themselves. The business owners pour so much of their past history and life and experiences and vision into a business, which makes them each so distinctive. So if everyone was just chasing trends, they would have no true identity. But what I think is important is to keep your eye out for something that you might already have. For example, if you know that matcha is trending and there's searches, people are searching constantly at a huge increase for matcha, and you already serve certain cocktails, but you don't have matcha on the menu, incorporating a matcha-tini into that. Or I've seen it in times where a business might have something and they're not actually listing the ingredients in a way that reflects that it's what people are searching for. For example, there was a time when espresso martinis were really trending, still classic, but I saw certain places that would not have it listed as an espresso martini, so they were missing out even on the branding of connections because people were not always identifying that. So I think sometimes there's low-hanging fruit when no matter what the business category is, if people are searching it, I think it's a good moment to reflect, think about, do I already offer that? Would that be low-hanging fruit for me to extend that or incorporate a new flavor that people are searching for, or an item that is, the Sardi Spritz, for example, 86,000% in searches. That's a matter of a few ingredients. So it's not so much changing your identity, but it is more so rising to the trend so you can meet people where they are, and then they can be introduced to how amazing your business is.
Makes sense.
I'm so hungry and thirsty right now.
I'd like to know if my dog is hungry or thirsty. I'd like to find out. I know someone I can call. Sarah Lewis, Yelp VP of Consumer Expansion and Trends. This was fascinating. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.